we always talk about like this planning and concept of relationships and put all these rules around it. So many different things like I'm not going to date people. I am going to date people. I'm going to be celibate. I'm going to do this. And we really confine our sex lives so that we can manage them. And at times we need to do that, and we should think things through. But what's so crazy is we have to let ourselves fall into relationships. We have to let ourselves fall in love, and we don't, man. We make it so difficult, but it's a force of nature. It'll fucking happen, man. But we make it so difficult. Why? Because we want it to be good. We don't want to be hurt. We don't want to be put in pain. We want, things to be right. We want our lives to be maximized and all this sort of shit, right? But the thing is if you're sexually active, if you're out there being social, you're going to build relationships with people, and that's going to happen. Especially if you're sexually active, man, you're going to build bonds with people that feel good. And you're going to start feeling things like, I want this to last forever. I want to give everything to this person. I want to be around this person all the time. I want to call them and complain. I want this person to comfort me. I want this person to support me. I want to support this person, blah, 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 blah. And we see those as points of weakness. We see this natural human phenomenon is this point of weakness that somehow needs to be controlled and managed, because if we let it get out of control, it's going to be dangerous. All right. And the problem with that is we cut it off too much, or when it naturally ends, we demonize it. Okay. So before it starts, we'll cut it off and say, no, it's not good. In order for me to be a man, I gotta not, support her, and she's got to do these things. And you can make those rules. That's cool. But I know those choices. I know those choices from experience at this point. All right. And I can make a choice at it. All right. But when we're fronting it and we haven't experienced it, we start doing stupid shit. Or you could say, I'm a woman. I've had some bad choices, and I'm not going to date a man who cheats. So I'm going to put up boundaries. But then we don't look at the things which are creating these situations in our lives. And so we get people who, have these repetitious patterns, whether it's a guy that cheats or a girl that cheats or a girl that doesn't match up in these ways and so on. And we build up these patterns of relationships because we didn't allow ourselves to learn how to have relationships. Man, I was saying this to a guy on a call, and this is really reflective more of our culture. And I don't want to say it's like this absolute human thing. And of course it could be wrong, but man, when you're in your 20s, like, why are you thinking so much about relationships? Just go and have them. Go and have them. If you're a person, a guy or a girl that's able to have a great relationship in your early 20s, your mid 20s, even in your late 20s, man, like that's a very hard thing to do. And the people that I do see succeeding in that, in those like really good relationships, have big breakups later on in their life because they sacrificed too much and they didn't learn how to have that relationship. We have to learn is a healthy sexual culture, guys and girls, man, and mainly I speak to men, but like we have to learn as men and women how to allow ourselves to fall in love, how to allow ourselves to feel these different things, because when you're having that feeling, you're going to want it forever. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is 2 months down the road, that forever feeling is going to go away, or it might not, but you got to learn to have that choice. You have to learn how powerful that is. If you keep yourself from it, you're not going to get it. We also have to learn to sustain in a relationship, to not judge ourselves, to not say, oh my God, am I settling? Oh my God, is this person good enough for me? I could do better. Or this person's really good, but I want to fuck other chicks on the side or whatever. We need to allow ourselves to have those thoughts. Those are going to happen. All right. Like the social constructs for a relationship are insane. And I was saying this on the call because I have a great relationship. It's awesome, man. Maria is my best friend. We hang out all the time. We have good sex. We raise kids together. But man, there are a lot of times where I feel trapped. There's a lot of times where she feels trapped. She feels imprisoned by our relationship because we're so close and we're always around each other. We don't get time to be free and to fall into our own identities without each other. And something that we have to remember is that our identities that allowed us to fall in love and continue to fall in love, because love changes too. There's that honeymoon phase. You guys are having a lot of good sex for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Lasted for like 18 months with me and Mari because we were having so much sex. But then, having kids, that wears down, different emotional things, her defects, my defects, they all erupt. And how do those communicate? What do we have to be then? Our love needs to change, right? Our relationship needs to change. Is this something we still want as a priority in our life? Is this something that we want with one another? Are we speaking with desperation for emotional fulfillment, or are we speaking with our choice? And a lot of times there's a mix. because in the reality of a relationship, those things happen, right? So we have to allow ourselves to have that experience so we can make that choice. I have to allow that experience when I feel trapped, like, fuck, I can't do anything. I'm stuck. I have to deal with this all the time. She's putting this emotional thing on me and she's not even saying anything. I can feel it. I have to be able to hold on to that tension and go like, okay, this doesn't mean I need to freak out. I need to know that, like, what indifference might feel for a day, a week, because you have to learn to have that relationship. All right. In my early 20s, I had a lot of bad relationships, not because they were bad people, but because I didn't know what to do. And this is perhaps something else that I should talk about in this, because we need to learn how to break up. All right, this is something that Jim says on all the calls, man. We have to learn to break up with people. We have to learn that hurts and that sucks and there's pain. And somebody asked a question earlier about going through a divorce and how close you are to your ex-wife, man. She knows you. Even though you hated each other for the past 5 years, you didn't sleep together, and you slept in separate beds or whatever, she still fucking knows you, man. It's so easy to fall in love with that again, especially when you're hurt, you're in pain, you're not getting those things that were so fulfilling from the marriage that you didn't even realize existed. But when you're separate, it's like, fuck. Or when you go out and you try and talk to somebody and it doesn't work, or she goes out and tries to talk to somebody and it doesn't work, and you need that separation. Well, what do I know about breakups? In my early 20s, when I didn't have any experience, that person was a fucking asshole. They had to be a bad person, a demon, a psychopath, a sociopath. I had to prove it. They had to, be somebody that did the worst of the worst and you couldn't even imagine. We hear this argument online all the time with, like, people bitching about their exes. My ex is a cheater. My ex is a molester. My ex is a child abuser. My ex is, like, all this shit, right? Because you have to get that separation, right? And there's something very unhealthy about it, but in every action, there's always a healthy piece of truth in it. And that truth is that we need to learn to be separate. Well, it took me a long time to realize maybe I just needed to stop talking to that person for 30 days. Maybe I needed to hold on to it to 90 days of zero communication, no text message. I don't give a shit if we have linked bank accounts. I could communicate through a friend just for a small moment, not to pivot into a conversation or whatever to handle that stuff, right? And that's very, very important. And I've done that, man. Okay. And there's times where I took 30 days of zero communication. And there were times where we made it more like 6 months. Okay. And the coolest part about that 6-month time was we were beating the shit out. We didn't mean to. I mean, it was somebody that I loved very much. And you could still say that I have love for her too. And perhaps she says it about me, but we can't talk because it's too easy to fall in love. It's too easy. And when we're in pain, for a lot of my life, she was the best thing that I could ever feel, to alleviate that pain. There are pivotal moments with myself and that woman where she changed my life. And I could go back to that and feel it right now. And so when I'm in pain, it's so easy to pick up that phone and talk to that, but it's not good for the transition, right? And we have to realize that. We have to realize that to break up, to fall in love, to have relationships, to communicate within relationships, to hold on to the tension is an okay thing. You're not going to get it right. Like, you can make your checklist and that's cool. And every motherfucker on earth has done that at some point. And some people do it to a high degree. But here's the thing. If you hold on to that checklist and you only live by that, you'll develop a heavy, heavy neurosis and like a fucked upness to just not keep that going. It'll cause your brain to be totally warped, and you'll have like crazy relationships, and then you'll be online dating at 35 and like confused as fuck as to why you can't put this human being in this box and have sex like you want it, right? And have a relationship the way you want it. So I think that's very important, right? If you're in your early 20s, this could be different for you. Maybe you do have it down. But I know for me and for most of my clients and most of the men out there that are living within Western culture and those types of things, it's not going to work out well, or you're not going to have a relationship that lasts for years and years and years and you get married. Okay. So allow yourself to fall in love. If you want 6-month relationships, well, go for it. Right. That's cool. But if you're like, I'm going to break up at the end of 6 months, well, wait till you get to that 6 months and say that. It would take a special kind of person to force themselves to do that just out of choice, because that human emotion and need for connection is huge. Relationships, literally the greatest thing in your life. Okay. Money, ambition, maybe health, physical health. These are things that, you may not think are important now. You might be going like, no, man, I want my career. I want money. I want whatever. These are things that are that are involved with lifetime changes that will be truly the richest things that you feel. You've got to learn how to have them. And one last thing here, this kind of goes in the breakup thing. If you're in a relationship, let yourself fuck up. Let yourself fuck up. Let yourself do all the stupid stuff. See, this is one of the reasons why like I want a men's group and a community. And because this is what happens. You get in a relationship, and if you're in a men's group that's focused on relationships, you step away from it. It's a very common thing. It's no problem. You can come back, man. You can come back. But you step away from it because you're doing your relationship thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. I feel that it might be better that we build so much dialogue that you stay. But a lot of times it's like, well, I don't need that anymore. You step away from it. Don't worry. You can come back. If things go wrong or things go south, if things get confusing, because they do, you should be able to go back to a group of people that can talk about this, and don't make it a big deal. This is one of the most important things that was said to me. I was on my, fuck, dude. I was behind in every bill in my life. Okay. Not making rent, child support payments behind, all this, like, it was all fucked up, man. Not anything. And I was dating this girl, and she lived in Paris, or I just kind of met her, and she flew to the US. Like I was just saying in the previous recording. If you're a man that can use his dick, you can change a woman. All right. So I hooked up with her. She flew to the US to see me. She had a good time. We had a good time together. She's like, come to Paris. Come to Paris and spend a month with me, or whatever it was. Spend time with me, right? So come to Paris. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't have my bills paid. I don't have any work coming in. And I talked to my friend. I talked to my very wise homeless friend that I bring up a lot. And he goes, man, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, go to Paris. Like, look, Steve, I get it. You're saying this is good. You're thinking about this stuff with irresponsibility. And you should. And you should change those things. But go on this. Nobody does this. And I'm like, yeah, but dude, I've done this throughout my life. I've done this for the past 5 years. I've traveled and met women. It's like, no, man, you should do it. And there's something in why, I don't know, because I got a second opinion after this, but he goes, look, man, go there and don't be afraid to fuck yourself up. Because if you fuck yourself up and everything gets as bad as it possibly can, you know where to go to fix it. I don't think enough guys have faith that they know where they can go to fix it if they fuck themselves up. And you can. And I would encourage you to. I mean, don't fucking go Fight Club style and beat the shit out of your life. But for love, for sex, for the pleasures of humanity, for your true purpose, your ambition, your feeling of masculinity, man, go for it. You need to go for it. You have to. And if you do fuck yourself up, if you do fall on your ass, if you do hit your bottom, you know where you can go to fix that. Super important. So I went and asked my friend Dave, who is like a very successful guy. I said, man, here's the situation. He said, dude, go to Paris. The other dude was right. Go to Paris. You should. It's totally irresponsible. You acknowledge it. All those things, work on it there, and it'll probably all work itself out. But if you fuck things up too bad, well, you know where to go to fix it. Went to Paris. It's a good time. It's good times. It's still talking about it, whatever, 6-7 years later. And a very influential point in my life. But experience is so valuable that you got to do it. I think you guys, you might not be as wild and crazy as me. You have enough sense on your shoulders to be responsible and make those choices. You're probably a lot better at those choices than I am of being responsible and stable with your life and all those things. But man, what everybody I think could use a healthy dose of is being able to have faith in your feelings, your urges that are natural towards you, to distinguish what's the insecurity and what's the truth. What's the sex drive? What's the calling of man? What's my true ambition? And what's the thing which is saying I need more and I'm not good enough? And experience is the only thing that can divide that and give you clarity on what that is. And it takes time and you're going to get hurt. But hey, you know where to go to fix it. All right? Cool stuff.